Welcome. We're going to talk today here about short division. I am your host. I'm Kathleen Lawler. First of all, before we get into short division, let's look at what is division. It's amazing how many people don't really understand what that is, because there's actually two ways to look at it. It's the process of separating into equal groups, either by the number of groups or by the size of the groups. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. If I have 6 divided by 2, we're asking how many 2's are in 6. So here I have 6, the number of groups of 2's. So here's my groups of 2's. How many groups do I have? 3 groups. Now another way of looking at it is saying, if I put these in 2 groups, how many are in each group? 3. So there's 2 different ways to look at it. Both are accurate. And sometimes they feel like they're a lot the same, but they are different. So that is what division is. So it's a process of separating into equal groups by the number of groups or by the size of the groups. It's also the inverse of multiplication. But there's a problem with the inverse of multiplication. A quick recognition of the division facts is not sufficient. When you're dividing by 6, you need to recognize that 48, as well as 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, will give 8 as the quotient, as the answer. However, all but 48 have a remainder. So it's more than just the recognition of the division facts. All right, so let's look at short division. We've got our little division house, as some people call it. We've got the divisor going on the left-hand side, the dividend on the inside. The answer is our quotient, and then we record our remainder up here. All right, here is short division. I have 471 divided by 3. So when we start with this, the first thing we want to do is put little lines up on the top here. This helps the children know where to put their answers. It's a very simple thing to do for the children, but it's very important to them. They need this. They want this. They like this. So give them the little lines. Then we're going to start out by saying 3. How many 3's go into 4? It's actually 400, but you can say 3 goes into 4 how many times? 1. And how many left over? 1. And I'm going to put the 1 right there. 3 goes into 17. How many times? 5. And how many left over? 2. 3 goes into 21. 7 times. There's your answer. Isn't that awesome? Let's do another one real quick, just to make sure we're comfortable with how this works. Again, let's put our little lines up there. 9 doesn't go into 8, but 9 goes into 80. How many times? 8. How many left over? 8. I'm going to put it right there. 9 goes into 85. How many times? Actually goes in there 9 times. How many left over? 4. 9 goes into 43. 4 times. And how many left over? 7, giving us the remainder of 7. Isn't that easy? Now, we could also do it this way. I could, instead of having the line, the house top, on the top here, I can put it on the bottom, and it'll still work. 4 goes into 9, 2 times. How many left over? 1. 4 goes into 13, 3 times. How many left over? 1. 4 goes into 16, 4 times. Nothing left over. 4 goes into 2, 0 times, and with the remainder of 2. Now, we've got this. Where can we use this? Why is this so handy? Let's say I want to find the average of these 3 numbers. So I'm going to add them up. And then rather than rewriting the number, I can draw the division house this way and say 273 divided by 3 and use the same process. 2 goes into 27 9 times, 3 goes into 3 1 time, answer is 91. So my average of these three numbers is 91. I can also use it for taking a number, an improper fraction, and moving it to a mixed number. So 3 goes into 4 how many times? 1. How many left over? 1. 3 goes into 13 how many times? 4, with 1 left over, so we're going to write it as 1/3. Let's do another one just to make sure we've got a handle on this. So I've got 67/5. So let's write this as a mixed number. So 5 goes into 6 how many times? Once. How many left over? 1. 5 goes into 17 3 times with 2 left over, so we're going to say 2/5. Now, this actually brings us to an interesting point. We'll keep talking about these remainders, and I want to address remainders because that kind of throws everybody. This isn't really a short division thing, but it's an important thing to talk about. What are the remainders? So I'm going to give you a couple different examples here, some problems, and see what we do with remainders. So problem 1, I have 13 children going on a field trip. If 4 children can ride in a car, how many cars are needed? I would need 4 cars. Let's do another problem. Pauline has 13 petunias to plant. She wants exactly 4 in a row. How many rows can she plant? 3 rows. Next problem. 4 children have $13 to split evenly. How much does each child receive? $3.25. Problem 4. 4 children divide 13 candy bars. How much does each one receive? 3 1/4 bars. Notice how we keep having the same numbers, 4 and 13, and yet how our answers are changing so much. Let's do the last one here. Jack packages 13 cookies with 4 per bag and eats the leftovers. How many does he eat? He gets to eat 1 cookie. So again, we had 5 problems with the same numbers, but all 5 have different answers. So remainders aren't just a number. You have to evaluate and see how you can put it together and what actually is being asked in these cases, in these different word problems. Looking at short division, you can't help but not talk about long division. Long division is seldom done by hand today because of the widespread use of calculators, and it's rarely used in advanced math. Now, it is necessary to use long division to observe repeating decimals, but it's a very small percentage of a state test, and it's almost impossible for those with learning challenges. But if you insist upon doing long division and you have this kind of mess, at least give your children a grid to work with. It'll make it much easier for them. So we've got the short division. We're comfortable using it. It's actually quite practical. Let me show you what a multivine is. This is something that Dr. Cotter came up with, and she does use it in the Right Start Math program. It's kind of a cool thing that she puts together. It's a self-checking multiplication and division exercise. And of course, we're going to use short division. And if you have any remainder when we get done, it means that a mistake was made somewhere. So let me show you what it is. We start with any number, and here we're going to pick 7. So we start with any number. We multiply it by 2. 7 times 2 is 14. Then we take that answer, 14, and multiply that by 3. And then by 4. And then by 5 and 6, all the way up until we've multiplied it by 9. Then we take that answer, the 2,540,000, 540,000, and we divide it by 2. Now, because I've obviously run out of space here, I'm going to go and rewrite it up here. It's much more fun when you do it all on one sheet of paper. I'm just going to move it up. So I'm going to divide it by 2. And then take that answer, divide it by 3, by 4, and keep going till I get to the very end. And ideally, the final answer will be the same as my starting number, which in this case, it is. And if you don't have the same number from start to finish, then somewhere in here you've made an error. Multivides, a multivide a day keeps the flashcards away. You go back and you look at this, you see how many calculations were done. Good practice here. A quick summary on short division. It's much more useful than long division. It's much easier to understand. Of course, it's much quicker. It needs to be taught before long division. And those with learning challenges probably should omit the long division. Now, if there's any children listening here, if mom says you have to do it, you have to do it. But a lot of times, again, a child with learning challenges, it's just sheer torture. And again, we don't use it. Like in the workplace, we don't use it so many places. Have the children know how to do it with the short division. And like I said, long division is rarely used in the workplace. Long division is taught in the Right Start Math curriculum at level E. Couple quick things regarding the Right Start Math program. We were given the first place award with Mary Pride's Practical Homeschooling Readers Award in 2014 and 15. We did get the Old Schoolhouse Excellence in Education Award as well as the 2016 Homeschooling Parents Seal of Approval. In conclusion, math needs to be taught so 95% is understood and only 5% memorized. And Dr. Cotter says our goal as teachers of mathematics is to help our children transform, expand, and refine these beginning ideas into deeper mathematical thinking. Please feel free to call us at 888-272-3291, or you can also email us at info@rightstartmath.com. Thank you for spending your time with me here, and I hope this helped you understand short division.